Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out. This is episode 280. Hope you're having a good one on this last hurrah of January. Personally, I love that the days are getting a tad longer each day. I hate when it's dark out at like 4:30. You know what I mean. Anyhow, I digress. February is this week, which is great. We have a stellar Tech It Out show planned for you this hour. Coming up in 30 seconds, how to start your own podcast with popular podcaster Tom Merritt. Then, what sports may look like in the future, including augmented reality experiences that make it seem like you're in the game with the pro players. Tech analyst Brian Jackson will stop by with his 2023 tech predictions. And a new book, Smartphones Don't Give Hugs, which explores the alleged link between technology and loneliness. All of this and more on an all-new Tech It Out, powered by ASUS for those in search of incredible. I'll tell you more about ASUS shortly, but let's officially kick off the show with our first interview. Ever wanted to create and host your own podcast? You're not alone. But even as a side hustle, it could be daunting to start. And so we have a special guest with us for the next few minutes who can help. Tom Merritt is an award-winning tech podcaster and host of the Daily Tech News Show. Tom is here to chat about his work, but also how to get going as a podcast host, what gear you need, how do you upload it to various podcast platforms, and so on. Welcome to the show, Tom. Good to chat with you.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mark. It's good to chat with you too.
Awesome. Now, before we talk about creating a podcast, let's chat about yours. Tell us about your work and the Daily Tech News Show podcast.
Yeah, so I've been podcasting since 2005. I started doing a show at CNET back then called Buzz Out Loud, which was Monday through Friday, going over the tech news. And then I did one called Tech News Today on the Twit Network, same thing. And so when I went independent in 2014, I decided that I really liked doing that. And so I just kept doing it. So I started doing Daily Tech News Show now in its 10th year. It is an attempt to help everybody understand technology. That's our tagline, helping each other understand. So we look at all the tech news each day so that you don't have to, and then break down the things we think are important to take note of, as well as have like larger discussions around things that require a little more explanation or understanding in a way that not only brings our own expertise as people who look at this every day, but also brings in the audience's expertise. We'll have a lot of professionals in the audience who are nice enough to write in with their perspectives.
Your podcast is very much aligned with this radio show and podcast, as my tagline, if you will, is that I try to break down geek speak into street speak. So not just celebrating technology, but demystifying it as well. So you're a perfect guest for this show.
Oh, thanks.
What do you like most about your podcast? What's it like being on your own, and what excites you the most about hosting, or co-hosting rather, with this show? You also do this with Sarah?
Yeah, Sarah Lane is my co-host. She was a co-host of mine on Tech News Today. We worked together years ago at a place called Tech TV as well. It's just really fun for me to look at all the tech news each day and figure out, okay, these are the things that are important. These are the things that I understand now because I've been following this for so long. And I don't love the day-to-day management stuff, the mechanics of running a business. Sometimes people will call me an entrepreneur and I kind of say, well, I guess technically I am, but it's not why I'm doing it. I do it because even when I stopped down between my jobs, I would continue to just get up in the morning and look at all the tech news and talk about it with people. So it's just kind of in my blood to do that. And I enjoy helping folks understand, and then also gaining understanding myself from people who say, actually, a little spin on that a lot of people get wrong is X. And that's really fun.
All right. So with that in mind, there are listeners who would love to host their own podcast. I guess the first question is, what is the first step? I mean, figure out what you're passionate about.
Yeah, I think that is the most important thing. A lot of people get caught up into distribution platforms and equipment, and that can be fun, picking the equipment, don't get me wrong, but you need to really know what your topic is. What is the content that you want to talk about, and do you care about it? Because really what people listen to podcasts for is the personality, and your personality is going to shine through no matter your skill level if you're really passionate about it. I absolutely think that's the most important thing.
I agree, and that's great advice. So pick something that you're super passionate about, and of course it takes a while for a podcast to catch on. Consider it an investment in that space, right? Whether it's tech or, I don't know, sports, celebrity news, you want to be a life coach, whatever it is, just know that there's going to be a lot of content you're going to be creating before it catches on. So you really have to be invested in that space.
Yeah.
And isn't it amazing, Tom, just as a side note, that anyone can host a podcast these days and have a built-in platform rather than being at the mercy of a radio station's program director to give you a show?
Yeah, my first job was in radio in 1986, and I got out of radio because there was content I wanted to do that just didn't have a fit. So when podcasting came along, I was over the moon. That was exactly what I wanted, the ability to craft a message and do that. And I think that is one of the pieces of advice I give people who want to start podcasting, is to tell them, just start. It is easier than ever to find a platform. You don't even have to do it yourself. There's all kinds of places that'll host your show, and half the battle is showing up. So take advantage of that fact that there isn't a gatekeeper, and go for it. Along
with not having a gatekeeper and having multiple platforms to post your content onto, there's other advantages. There's no set length that you need to adhere to. You can have a 5-minute podcast or a 5-hour podcast. You can upload daily. You can upload weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. It gets totally up to you. Better quality audio, and you can get really granular, right? Like you can really find one topic and double down on it, and there's going to be an audience for you.
Yeah, half the battle's showing up, like I say. Yeah.
We are chatting with podcaster Tom Merritt, who hosts the Daily Tech News Show podcast, covering the most important tech news and issues of the day with the smartest minds in technology. He's also been an expert on shows like Good Morning America, CBS Radio, NPR, This Week in Tech or TWIT, and many more. So, Tom, what tech do our listeners need to have and learn in order to host their own podcasts?
Most of them probably have the basics they need to get started. Even if it's just a smartphone to get started, it's not the best audio, but if that is getting in your way, just go ahead and start recording, start practicing. The basics of what you need, though, are a microphone and a nice quiet place to record in, and then a platform that you can upload to. So find a good setup that maybe is a closet, or maybe it's a quiet room. Do your recording, and then find a platform. There's tons of platforms out there. There's Libsyn, Blueberry, RSS.com, Anchor. I do mine on Acast. You find the one that seems right for you. A lot of them have free plans, especially if you're at low listenership at the beginning. And then go practice, do your show, even publish it, and then start adding in equipment. Then start deciding, what I really need is a better mic, or what I need is a mixer, or I need a better computer.
Right.
But the biggest impediment for most people is sitting down and recording. And I would say just doing that with whatever you have and getting the practice is going to be the most beneficial thing for folks.
And don't think you need to break the bank on a high-end microphone. Like I'm talking to you right now on like a $70 USB mic that I use professionally for national radio shows and podcasts. So that should be just fine. If it's a bit echoey in the room that you're in, you can pick up a little what's called studio in a box. It's like a sub $100 little foam thingy to put your microphone in. That's a very technical term, foam thingy. And really, a lot of people think, I don't have the money to start. It's more about time, right? And passion. Anything you've learned, Tom, since you started hosting Daily Tech News Show that should you do it all over again, you would avoid? Maybe we can help out our listeners before they run into a snag. Anything that a wannabe podcaster shouldn't do?
Yeah. My biggest secret is preparation. You want to make sure that you're speaking off the cuff. You want to make sure that you have dynamism in your presentation, but you want to know where you're going. So I think a lot of folks, when they get started, they tend to ramble because they don't know what the plan is. So if you just do a very simple set of bullet points, right? I'm going to say this at the beginning. I'm going to hit this point, this point, this point, and then I'm going to wrap up. That's going to help folks a lot. So don't get caught up in having to spend a lot of money on stuff. Don't get caught up and having to hire an editor, hire a producer at the beginning, anything like that, I would say prepare. That is the biggest thing I've developed over the years.
Great point. Then finally, just before I let you go, any tips on promoting your podcast? Let's say you want to monetize it, but a sponsor isn't interested until you have enough of an audience. Then the audience isn't there because you don't have a sponsor to help promote. It's a little chicken and the egg thing. So how do you get the word out when there are literally millions of podcasts? We all can't make money like Joe Rogan, but we don't necessarily need to, right?
Well, that's why you should be doing this, because you're passionate about it. Because you may or may not end up making any money off of it. In the 18 years I've been doing this, I haven't got a good answer for how to gain an audience, because a lot of it is luck. A lot of it is just getting picked up. The things that I would tell people to try, and they're not surefire, but the things that I would tell people to try are show up on other people's shows. Go and pitch yourself as a guest and bring people onto your show. Because if you bring a guest onto your show who already has a show, that show's listeners will be interested in it. Also, reviews help. That has been tried and true method to get a show up the charts, is to get folks in your audience, once you have a few of them, to go on platforms like Apple Podcasts and leave reviews, because the algorithms seem to like that. And it also helps other listeners to understand, that's what that show is about.
All great advice. And then finally, how to subscribe to Daily Tech News Show.
It's so easy to subscribe to podcasts these days, right? I almost feel silly. But dailytechnewsshow.com is the website. And if you type Daily Tech News Show into whatever podcast listening device or app you use, it should show up. It's pretty easy these days.
Awesome. All right. dailytechnewsshow.com or wherever finer podcasts are broadcasted. Hey, Tom, thanks so much for your time. Great to chat with you and stellar advice. Thanks so much.
Hey, thanks, Mark.
I experienced the future of sports last week, and it's all about mixed reality. I'll explain when we return on Tech It Out.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out, powered by ASUS for those in search of incredible. ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life, and that includes its line of award-winning laptops and desktops, accessories like monitors, keyboards, and mice, mobile tech like smartphones, tablets, and smartwatches, and much more. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio. As I mentioned earlier in the show, we're going to learn about the future of sports. I was at the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto to watch a Raptors game the other night, and I sat down with Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, Hamza Tarani. He is the CTO at MLSE Digital, the innovation arm of the company, to talk about these augmented reality experiences. All right, so Hamza, tell us what we're doing here. What's this big announcement this week?
Yeah, so we launched our partnership with AWS about a year ago, and this is the follow-on announcement of a program we've created called SportsX. And SportsX is really the combination of one of the largest, most prolific tech companies in the world with Amazon and AWS.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Things they're doing.
Yeah.
And us as leaders in the sports and entertainment space to be able to look at the future of sports together and do it under this great partnership that we have with MLSE, but then to be able to carve off our operating program called SportsX, which is really looking at the most cutting-edge ideas within sports to fuel our fan experience, and then to also look at how we can leverage this technology for aspects of our team performance and where we can continue to give our teams an edge using data and advanced analytics and computer vision and other things.
So what are we looking at here? What are you demonstrating for journalists like myself?
So, today you'll see two examples. One is an example, we're in the Raptors practice court, obviously, so biomechanical data, which has been made available by the NBA, which gives you body pose data. And what our developers and working with AWS, we're able to actually put all of that technology inside augmented reality, and as you strap on a pair of goggles here, you can now be immersed right in the middle of a game. Have you tried it yet, by the way?
I have. I tried the Magic Leap 2 version. Yeah. So you put on this headset, and it's augmented reality, not as much virtual reality, so I can still see this practice court around me. And then when I look around, I see superimposed information layered on top of the real world. So I look above the net, I can see like a scoreboard or a shot clock or both, and I can see the players rendered in 3D running around the court that aren't really there in real life.
Exactly, but it's a stream of a game from a few nights ago or a few weeks ago. So that's a real NBA game, and you're in the middle of it. Now, instead of watching on your couch, you have the ability to run up and down the court with Pascal and literally be next to him as he's pulling up for a jumper. So we're excited about the potential of these kinds of technologies. It could obviously help our teams from a team competition perspective.
Yeah.
Maybe some technology for our broadcasters to use in the future, and for international audiences as well, where there's big expansion opportunities.
Now, should you not have the room to run around a practice court like this, even a half court, is there an application for someone donning a headset at home?
You can scale this technology down, stick it on top of a tabletop, and when the devices get better, right now the devices are running pretty expensive headsets, but once you have a set of glasses that you can put on that kind of just look like glasses, you can imagine your consumption is going to change a little bit.
So you're CTO. How many people work on this? Like, how many people are part of the team that's powering these technologies?
Yeah, MLSE Digital Labs is about 100 across MLSE, so we support all of our teams, the IT, network, technology, infrastructure, the venue, all tech that you see.
Yeah.
Our development teams are about 30. And then we scale up and down with Amazon as well. So when we have programs like this, we might have 3 or 4 people that are just working on these things, bringing them to life, leveraging AWS as a technology provider, their infrastructure, and really spending the time and effort on the ingenuity of the idea, versus the back-end infrastructure. We let our AWS friends do that part.
Awesome. Before I let you go, when we go up to the suite, we're going to see another project.
You are.
And can you tell us about this NHL experience? It's called.
NHL Edge IQ. It's done in partnership with Amazon as well. Obviously, that will be a mainstay tonight, but also with the NHL. And what the NHL did about 2 years ago is make puck and player tracking data available in all NHL arenas. So what you're seeing tonight is us being able to pick up that live streaming data. The jerseys of the players are chipped, and the puck is chipped, and so you're seeing that data stream off the court. In the case of basketball, you're seeing it on the ice, and you're going to see it in your augmented reality glasses and on a tabletop, which you can also see a different form factor of it. And it'll tell you how fast the player is skating, the name of the player, minutes in a particular zone. You're going to see all the stats basically coming right off of the ice in real time.
So people would need, I know this is just showing the technology, it's very early days,
it is,
but we would need at home like a table that would show
in the future. You could display this on a mobile app. Okay. You could display it in augmented reality.
So you could be watching your TV with a special pair of AR glasses for that similar information.
Exactly.
Okay.
In the future, you could use your imagination on where these things might go and how they'll get there a lot faster with this partnership and this program.
With the Raptors example of what we're experiencing right here on the court where I'm interviewing you, the players also have a chip in their jerseys or something and in the ball?
This is
or
data,
nothing?
This is data coming in from, again,
that's the hockey.
NBA gets their data in different ways, and we also have some data streaming in from the arena. This wasn't a live game. This was a pre-recorded game. But there's different ways that different leagues are actually providing that data to us. But when we get the data, we know how to work with it and be able to actually create some really cool experiences. So those are the two you'll see today. But in a year, maybe when we do a follow-up, we'll be able to talk about a host of other ideas that we would have tried, demoed, built, proof of concepts, and I think we're going to come up with some great ideas that are going to be model examples for the rest of the sports community to look at in the future.
Thank you so much, Hamza. Congratulations. Nice to chat with you.
Much appreciated.
It's hard to describe how cool it is when you put on that headset and you're running around with real basketball players virtually on a court. Anyhow, awesome tech. When we return on Tech It Out, we're going to catch up with analyst Brian Jackson about 2023 tech trends that you can expect. Stick with us. We'll be right back with more Tech It Out.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Tech It Out. Wouldn't it be great to peek into a crystal ball and see what the next year will bring us, personally or professionally? Okay, so I can't help you on the personal front, but perhaps my next guest can help where we're going in the world of tech, which touches virtually every aspect of your world between work and play. We're joined by Brian Jackson, Principal Research Director and Analyst at Infotech Research Group, one of the fastest growing information technology and research advisory firms. We're going to hear all about tech trends for 2023. Welcome back to the show, Brian. Good to chat with you.
Always glad to join you, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, pleasure. And it was good to see you the other night at that Amazon event, that AWS event.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Now, hey, before we talk 2023 tech trends, please tell us a bit about your work with Infotech Research Group.
Yeah, happy to. At Infotech, we have clients around the world, and what we do is help them solve their technology challenges. So we're working with the chief information officers, the IT directors, all those people that know how to make your computers work. And we're helping them solve all the strategy problems they have, all of the operational issues they might run into, all that good stuff.
Okay. So one of the biggest tech topics that I've seen, and I'm sure you as well, are these intelligent chatbot programs like ChatGPT. What's all the hype about? And do you predict that AI will be huge in 2023?
I predict it'll be huge, and it already is. We've seen ChatGPT. I feel like it was rumor one day, and then the next day, everybody was using it.
Yeah.
Everybody that I tell about this tool, this is true at work as well as among my friends. Everybody that tries it is sort of amazed by it, and it just becomes an instant bookmark, and probably you've got it open in your browser at all times because it's that good. I mean, the week that I discovered this, Mark, I was using it to author my Christmas cards to people. I was using it to help me with my work, brainstorm ideas for clients or get SEO text out of the articles I was writing for the web. And you're just like realizing that, it's so flexible and it spits out answers that are useful so quickly. Not always the highest quality answers, but often good enough to get you started in the right direction. It's a very addictive service. I feel like ChatGPT has shown us the power of generative AI. One of the tech trends that I featured in my report for this year, which, Mark, is a type of AI that once you train it on content that people have created, it can start generating content just that's similar and that's meaningful to people. So not only do we see ChatGPT, right, but we see these image generating bots. A couple out there are called Midjourney, and then there's Stable Diffusion, another example. So with a simple text prompt, you can just describe the image you want to see and the style you want it depicted in even. Maybe you want it to be photorealistic, or maybe you want a cartoon, or you want something to be drawn like the Simpsons animation. And within a minute or less, you'll get back a selection of images to use. And the results of that are pretty incredible. And I feel like a lot of people are just feeling like their creative potential is being augmented here and superpowered by these services. Although I think we also have some ethical issues to work through this year when it comes to how did these models get trained and who benefits from these being released into the world.
Great points all around. And Microsoft, I think, recently announced a $10 billion investment into OpenAI, the company that runs ChatGPT.
Yeah, and wow. With that investment, Microsoft has the inside angle to use ChatGPT here for augmenting its tools that we are all used to, like Bing search. When was the last time you did a Bing search, right? I mean,
admittedly, not so often. Yeah, it's more Google. Yeah,
exactly. And we know that Google dominates the search market, at least like 80% of it. So not many people think to use Bing or feel compelled to. But now suddenly, if this technology is part of that service, you might have a new reason to. And you see Microsoft getting behind the idea of using this generative AI technology to soup up all of its Office products. We all use Microsoft Word or Excel, things like that.
Outlook,
so,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Outlook, exactly. So having this sort of augmented ability to generate content in a very quick amount of time is going to be useful for so many people.
We are chatting with Brian Jackson, Principal Research Director and Analyst with Infotech Research Group. We're chatting about 2023 tech trends, but let's now pivot and chat metaverse, mixed reality experiences, something that we kicked the tires on the other day. In fact, what is the metaverse? And do you predict it will be a big thing this year?
seems to be a different definition depending on who you ask, right? So you look at when Meta and Mark Zuckerberg talk about the metaverse, well, they're trying to address a specific problem around collaboration. And Mark, you and I, we were just talking about this idea of hybrid work, right? And working from home, working remotely. And this is the problem that Meta was looking at during the pandemic. You know, we were all connecting and collaborating over Zoom calls or Teams calls, whatever it may be, video conferencing, which is fine. But there's something lost about not being in the same room as your colleagues when you want to work with them, that personal touch. And they thought maybe the metaverse is interaction in virtual reality will be the answer, and we'll be able to use avatars to interact with each other, and you'll be able to feel like you're right next to your colleagues, so you can speak with them and maybe interact with a big conference of people, and people get up on stage, and it'll be more like the real world, the experiences we used to have. The issue with this is it's not quite ready for prime time, is it? Like, we're seeing Mark Zuckerberg get up on stage and demo avatars with legs. Here's the new advancement that we've made. And so you see something like that and you just sort of realize, okay, this is a work in progress.
That's what they've been spending billions on. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that is promising. I'm not taking away from what they've accomplished there. I think they are cutting edge in terms of what they've got, both in terms of the virtual reality headset technology with the Oculus division and what they've built with Horizon Worlds, right? The virtual reality experience is probably the best on the market today, but it's still not enough to convince most people like you and I or your listeners out there to go spend a few $100s on a virtual reality headset, which is just a huge barrier to convince people that they're going to interact in virtual reality. So what I'm much more interested in is these type of augmented reality or virtual reality experiences that are maybe facilitated in the workplace, or maybe even as part of an entertainment experience. You can see where it's going. And I think that might start being added to some sort of premium fan experiences for sports, or what sort of entertainment experiences could that lead to in the future?
Okay, so Brian, where can our listeners read your 2023 Tech Trends Report?
Come to infotech.com. You can download the report there.
Brian, great to chat with you. Good to see you the other day.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mark. This was a lot of fun.
Smartphones Don't Give Hugs. That's the name of the book that suggests there's a link between technology and loneliness. We'll talk with the author, Dr. Burstein, when we return on Tech It Out.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out, hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. While I spend an awful lot of time on this show celebrating technology, exploring all the ways that it can enhance and enrich your life, it would be remiss not to acknowledge the downside to tech, whether it's the impact on the environment, automation replacing human jobs, things like screen addiction and cyberbullying and so on. But what about a link between technology and loneliness? Joining us to discuss his new book, Smartphones Don't Give Hugs, is Dr. David Burstein. Welcome, David. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me, Mark. It's good to talk to you.
Yeah, likewise. All right. Now, before we talk about your book, please tell us a bit about yourself and your profession as well.
Okay. Well, I'm a dentist living in Toronto, and I have 3 teenage kids. And I'm also divorced. And one of my hobbies over the years has been to write. And one of my interests have been technology and social behavior. As a matter of fact, 30 years ago, I read the book by Neil Postman called Amusing Ourselves to Death and No Sense of Place by Joshua Meyerowitz. So the topic has always been something that's interested me. I guess it all culminated in the events of the lockdowns from the pandemic. And I just decided to explore the issue of loneliness.
All right, so you're a dentist, not a psychologist or a psychiatrist,
That's right.
Just to be clear, and we'll get into the motivation for writing this book in a moment. But congrats. Again, it's called Smartphones Don't Give Hugs. What's it all about?
Well, basically, it's my take on what I consider to be a social epidemic of loneliness. I deal with its modern causes and what we can do about it. I just break the subject down and like to give some advice, experience, what I think is going on, and I go from there. But again, like I said to you before, I am not a medical health professional. Everything that I talk about is my take on what's going on.
But I'm sure there's some data to support the fact that, technology and loneliness may be linked.
Yeah.
And what prompted you to write this? Did you have an epiphany based on your personal life, maybe through your 3 kids or your ex?
One of my strengths is I see connections between things. And I was seeing what was going on in my life personally. I was seeing how my kids were so addicted to tech, and I was really thinking it was affecting their communication skills. And I just saw what was, and it all got catapulted by the events related to the lockdowns and the pandemic. And I sort of said, okay, I'm good at tying things together. And I sort of say, well, what's the connection between all of this stuff? And I realized that there's a certain amount of loneliness going on in this society. And I decided to lean into it, whereas most people can avoid issues, or they run away from issues, or they freeze up from issues. I was told that it would be healthy to actually lean into an issue. And even though it's not an easy subject, I said, you know what, there's something here, and let's just do some exploration.
So talk to us about the chapters in the book and what you hope readers gain from it.
Well, the idea of loneliness has been around a long time. As a matter of fact, one of the things that prompted me to do it is that you don't have to take religion seriously, but in the Bible, which goes back over 3,500 years, the first negative observation God, whether or not you believe in God, observes is that it's not good for man to be alone. So this idea has been with us for a long, long time. And what I try to do is I try to make the subject of loneliness, for people to look at loneliness as if it's a light on an emotional fuel gauge. And that as much as we have to be concerned about what we can do to prevent the light from going off, it also deals with what can we do to keep the needle as far to the right as possible. And there's one of my favorite chapters in the book is called The Continuum from Loneliness to Love, that as much as we deal with factors that lead to loneliness, I also stress that it's about service to others and what can we be doing to bring more love into the world. Now, I'm not a really touchy-feely guy, but it's a big part of fighting one loneliness is actually getting out of your own head and realize that we're here to serve others. And it's through serving others that we actually fight our own loneliness. And one of the interesting, most important lessons I learned is that of all of the communication skills, the one most important for developing and fighting loneliness is to become a good listener. It seems counterintuitive, but when you think about it, is that when we're there to serve others, getting out of your own head, and you realize that I have a function to do in this world that's more than just being by myself.
Now, just to play devil's advocate for a moment, it could be argued that tech can help cure loneliness, right? If you think about some of the connections that we've made over video calling over the pandemic, it was a way to keep in touch with those who matter. Or playing a video game together, a couple of teens playing with a headset, they're laughing, they're strategizing. It is a kind of socializing, no?
Oh, the tech is absolutely fantastic. And, if we were dealing with something that didn't have a certain appeal, nobody would like it. The point is that there's the saying is you can't, maybe one of the dumbest comments ever make is that you can't get too much of a good thing. Well, you can get too much of a good thing. And tech, Mark, it just boggles me how right now we're having this phone call, this conversation where I could press a button on my cell phone and in 2 seconds I'm talking to somebody in Australia. Yet at the same time, you ask a kid a question and they can't look you in the eyes.
That's always been a concern of mine, about the screens that these kids are, and I don't mean all of them, but many of them seem to be glued to that when it comes to human interaction, like physical, in person. A lot of them can't look at you in the eyes or shake your hand comfortably or carry on a conversation naturally. They're more comfortable behind the glass.
In one of the chapters it was all about the importance of nonverbal communication. This rule about what people's first impressions are. And 7% is based on what's actually said, 37% is based on tone, and 55% is based on nonverbal communication.
Wow. We're going to continue chatting with Dr. Burstein about his book, Smartphones Don't Give Hugs. When we return, it explores the alleged link between technology and loneliness. What do you think about this topic? I'm going to give you my social media handles when we return on Tech It Out. Would love to hear your opinion on this. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
Although technology allows us to keep in touch with people who live on the other side of the world, loneliness is said to be at an all-time high. Why is that? Well, with his new book, my guest David Burstein argues it's because, quote unquote, smartphones do not give hugs. We're exploring the contents of the book right now. We're going to continue chatting with David in about 30 seconds. But first, I do want to ask those who are on social media to let me know what you think of this topic. I'll spell my name in a moment, but I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, and YouTube. So it's Mark Saltzman, MarkSaltzman, Mark Saltzman. Also on social media, I write a tech tip of the day. I post videos. I link to articles that I write, interviews like this for radio shows and podcasts. There are giveaways, polls, memes, all kinds of fun stuff. So I look forward to saying hi to you online, hearing your thoughts on this topic or any other topic from today's Tech It Out show, or if you have any tech questions and so on. So it's Mark Saltzman, MarkSaltzman. We'll see you online. Let's get back to the interview. So, David, what are some of the takeaways from this book? And who would you say it's for exactly? Is it for kids or parents of kids?
There's stuff in the book for everybody. I've gotten great feedback from people in their 80s. But the fact that the book is dedicated to my teenage kids is telling me that that is ultimately my most important target audience. But at the same time, appealing to loneliness in teenagers, it's like the last thing a teenager's ever going to admit is that they're lonely, because they, in all honesty, Mark, I don't think they know any better. That they think that their socialization is because of their relationship with the dopamine hits that they're getting from looking at a screen. And that's not what dopamine is there for. I had a patient of mine who's in her 70s said that when she buys a cookbook, if she gets one or two good recipes out of the book, it was a worthwhile purchase. So there's stuff in the book for everybody, but it's really targeted to because what I worry about too is that these kids don't know how to communicate with themselves. You'd ask a teenager a question, they say, well, I don't know. And this is your relationship with yourself. One of the chapters in the book is learning to be your own best friend. And it's all about learning to get to know yourself. Human beings are social creatures. It's all about making connections. And one of the things about loneliness is I realized loneliness is actually one of the most important emotions for the advancements of civilizations, that we realized we need other people. And I really think it's an important thing. That one of the major guys who wrote the book on loneliness is this guy named John Cacioppo. And he says that just as we have hunger to tell us to eat, we have thirst to tell us to drink, we have pain to tell us to avoid, we have loneliness that's there to tell us about our need for social connection. So the book can really, it lends itself to so many other factors in life. It's all about making connections. And it's through making connections that we find meaning and purpose in our life.
As we wrap up then, David, where can we get your book? Is it softcover, hardcover, an ebook, all of the above? How much does it cost? And the best website?
The softcover is $15, hardcover is $20. And the ebook is $9.
All right. So Amazon to learn more. Dr. David Burstein, congrats on the launch of this new book, and I hope it does really well for you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Mark.
I wanted to extend a huge thank you to Visa for partnering with me on Tech It Out. In my conversations and interviews with Visa, I learned that online shoppers are 3 times more likely to enter an unfamiliar store if it displays a Visa logo, and customers are 5 times more likely to think a merchant is reputable. This is because Visa has invested billions over the years in fraud prevention, so you don't need to think twice about shopping at retail or online with your Visa card, nor should businesses be concerned about secure payments. Visa is deploying advanced technology to ensure customer data is not vulnerable, no matter where the transactions take place. This includes technologies like tokenization, pioneered by Visa as one part of the solution. In plain English, it reduces the risk of identity theft because this tech replaces your cardholder info with a random alphanumeric code so that the merchant never sees your actual card number, yet ensures a fast transaction as well. To learn more about Visa's work in protecting you and your purchases, visit visa.com/security. That's visa.com/security. I hope you enjoyed the show. We first spoke with podcaster extraordinaire Tom Merritt with advice on starting your own podcast. Then we talked about the future of sports. We chatted with Brian Jackson, tech analyst, about 2023 trends. And finally, we spoke with the author of the book, Smartphones Don't Give Hugs. Thank you to those who have left a review or a star rating for Tech It Out on your favorite podcast platform. Even if you're listening to this show on a radio station, it would be awesome if you did a search for the word Tech It Out and my name, Mark Saltzman, on your favorite podcast platform and left a star review. It really goes a long way. Thank you. Thank you to Asus and Western Digital. I hope you have a great rest of your day, a healthy week ahead, and I look forward to catching up with you next weekend for another episode of Tech It Out. Bye-bye for now.